The second economics of average that we use is what they describe as the gross domestic product, which is the total sum of all the expenditure or the products or the services, or in other words, all the income of in the country. And so what you're going to do is that you are going to add the income of all the sectors of the economy, and then you say that that is the gross domestic product. When you do that, everything that is produced in the country within the year, irrespective of who produced it, whether they were produced by Ghanaian companies, Ghanaian businessmen, or the Ghanaian government, they are all added. And so at the end of the day, you see that your gross domestic product will look huge. But the moment after you have calculated that gross domestic product, reality will dawn on you that a chunk of it doesn't belong to you. And when you realize that that chunk doesn't belong to you, but the World Bank, the IMF, and all the Bretton Woods institutions would have compelled you to use GDP as an indicator of whether or not your economy is doing well. So when you continue to propound and to shout at the rooftops that your economy is doing well because GDP is growing, the people of the country will keep reminding you that Bunchi Koren, things are tough. You will be denied the opportunity to get to reality because you are engaged in economics of averages. What I have insisted we should use as a minimum test of the health of our economy is the gross national product, which determines how much of the wealth that is generated in our economy actually is for Ghanaians and the people of Ghana. So what you do is that you have to subtract all the production that has taken place in our economy, but which belongs to foreigners. So I give you an example again, that if you come to the telecom sector, we have Vodafone, is not for Ghana. We have Tigo, is not for Ghana. We have Airtel, is not for Ghana. We have Glo, is not for Ghana. We have MTN, is not for Ghana or for Ghanaians. But they produce services, they make a lot of income. And this morning, the number of times you have called me, note that every call you make, you will get a 9% deduction. Note that. All that comes to you as a cost. The telcos are also receiving their money. When they receive their money, every Friday, they come to pack them in dollars and go to the countries where they actually come from. Now, you would have added them and everything that they have generated within the period as part of your GDP. I hope you are tracing that.
That's right.
But soon after you have calculated that, look, within this period, MTN made this amount of money, Glo made this amount of money, and therefore the economy is growing. One thing you have forgotten is that you don't own it. And that when they make the money, they have 90% to take away. And when they take the 90%, you realize that you are sitting on nothing but shit. And economic speaking and statistical speaking, you say your economy is doing well. But I keep asking the question, doing well to whose advantage? To those who have come to invest's advantage, or to the people of Ghana's advantage? Now, let me move away from the telecom sector and go straight to, say, the mineral sector. You don't own any mining company any longer. From Akwatia Diamonds, Consolidated Diamond Mines, to Obosi Goldfield, or Ashanti Goldfields, to Takwa Prisia Bogoso as gold mines. You have sold everything into private hands. So people actually come in, extract the gold, and take it out of your country. So all you do is that you are the owner of the resources. But how the resources are exploited and used, you have virtually no knowledge. All you are interested in is royalty and taxes. So within the gold sector, excuse me, you have only 5% ownership or less. 95% doesn't belong to you. But you will calculate it as part of your GDP of the total production of gold, diamonds, bauxite, and everything that has been extracted from your land, because it will be measured. And once you calculate that, you come and tell us that the economy is doing well because GDP has grown. But you own that GDP. Let me come to a modern sector, which is the oil sector. You have only 13%, 13% of oil resources. So 87% doesn't belong to you. But you will factor total production of oil in this country as part of your GDP. And rightly so. But moments after that, 87% of that is taken away. What will remain is 13%, which is yours. Your GDP would have ballooned, but in actual fact, you have very little to show. Is there any wonder, therefore, that we keep saying that GDP has grown and that our economy is doing well, and our government is holding a calabash, trotting the globe, and looking for money to borrow? So that should tell you, obviously, that look, we are not getting our economics right. Or we are misapplying, because you see, I have insisted that when you go to France, the French economy is owned by the people and largely by the government of France. Okay? When you go to Germany, that economy is owned by the people and by the government of the Germans. When you go to Russia, their economy is owned by them. And obviously, when you go to the United States, you can do investment there, but the economy is owned by them. Now, when they are using GDP as a determinant of their well-being, it's justifiable because they own the commanding heights of their economy. You who don't own the GDP, they are compelling you to use that as a help of your economy. So you keep telling us that GDP is growing, but in actual fact, and that is why I'm saying that it is either the government is oblivious of the facts, and therefore they are prescribing solutions that are not addressing the problems and challenges confronting the people of Ghana, or we will say that they are overwhelmed by the magnitude of the problem that they inherited. And if they are overwhelmed, then we will be surprised, because it was the same government in opposition that told us that the government before was not able to attend to the problems and that they should clear off and give them a chance to come and perform better. So you cannot tell us that you are not informed of the magnitude of the challenge when you are telling us that the people in government were not capable of handling the situation. So we are in a very terrible economic quagmire that requires that, look, all of us must sit up. This is a government that told us that when they come, they will take away taxes on many things. This is a government that told us that increasing electricity tariffs was an affront to the dignity of the people of Ghana. Here we are today. If you have to talk, Yaliaga, say Kavadia di Lampo. Chabi, to speak, they charge you. When I buy my 5 cedis credit, what I will get will not be 5 cedis. I will get 4 point something. When you buy any, and beyond that, when you buy and they tax it, when you start talking, the data you start to use, they tax you on the data. So it's obvious that our government has become rather inept and irresponsive to the crisis that the people are going through.
Bernard, before we go to Nadoli Kaliu, I would still hold you on national issues. Some people suggest that, Bernard, it seems you have a personal problem with Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. That's why you are on his nerves.
Unfortunately, I would say that I consider him as an uncle, and maybe he considers me as a nephew. Private and personal wise, I have no problem whatsoever with President Nana Akufo-Addo. And when I see him in public, I give him all the reverence that he deserves. But when his government is not doing things in a manner that I feel should be, I have to point out, and point out strongly. President Akufo-Addo, on many occasions when he sees me in public, will then either get closer and give me a handshake, and will offer a few words, and then he will go on. So I have no personal problem with him. Look, Recently, you notice that law students went on a demonstration because of what I describe as an apartheid legal education regime that has been instituted, denying people who want to acquire the legal profession or to enter into the legal profession their right of place. I don't think it sits within anybody's right to deny another person of a profession of your choice and willingness. It doesn't sit with anybody, and I don't tolerate injustice. And so I feel that an injustice is being committed on innocent Ghanaians who desire that they want to become lawyers and probably become judges. But they are being denied their place because there is an apartheid educational system without profit. In solidarity with them. What did you see at the end of the day? The leadership were arrested. We were brutalized, all of us. We were retreating and running away, not pelting any stone or anything against the police. We were just running. They followed us, meeting oncoming vehicles with their water tanks, their bullets and what have you, until we ran into the Canadian High Commission in Ghana. So the government of Ghana is brutalizing us under the instruction of President Nana Akufo-Addo, and it has to take the Canadian government to give us rescue. We did not vote for a government to be brutalizing us. We voted for a government that will listen to us and our concerns, whether the government agrees or not. The people of Ghana voted for to meet us on a peaceful demonstration with violence and brutality, particularly when the police have abdicated on their duty to come and guide and protect the demonstrators. It's unacceptable. Look, the Coalition for National Sovereignty went to the Ashanti region to do demonstration. Just on the day of the demonstration, they more than successful protestation in the Ashanti region. So you ask the question. President Akufo-Addo, who in opposition was fighting as if he was a human rights activist, in government has turned to be a human rights abuser. How do you expect me to justify that? And how do you want me to be comfortable? I cannot sit with injustice, and I cannot tolerate it. And it doesn't matter whether you are my enemy or you are my friend. When you have a right cause, I will support you so that you can earn your right. And that is what I have been doing over the period. So, personally, I have no equivocation, no difficulty with President Nana Akufo-Addo. I think that he's a fine man, except that his governance style is very bankrupt. Third time without number. That look, what has been done for the cocoa farmer is good. It promotes them and assures them of stability of income. Every time there is a cocoa season, and you see, government will come and announce producer price, and at the end of the day, if you have a certain acreage of cocoa farm, you are assured of a certain number of tonnage of cocoa bags. Not so. When you get that tonnage, you are able to sell because government just buys the cocoa and then government now begins to exploit for market outside. You don't see cocoa farmers carry their cocoa beans on their head and moving from Sarpere market to Sankana market, or from Tapo market to Noro market, or from Charpong Sam market to Tangasia market. You don't see them. But for us, you will see our people calling our Tama and Chuna on their head in their pebili, moving from one market area to the other. And in most instances, they will go and sit down from morning to evening, and when they are not getting the quote, the right price for them, they have to reduce the prices to what I call a takeaway price by the middlemen and women. This is something that I think that is an injustice that has been perpetrated on other farmers. If cocoa farmers deserve scholarship, if cocoa farmers and their children deserve clinics, if cocoa farmers and their children can get guaranteed and stable prices so that they can go in advance to even rent and take loans What prevents the shea farmer from being given the same opportunity? What prevents the yam farmer from being given the opportunity? What prevents the maize farmer from being given the opportunity? That is why it is important that whilst we have set up the cocoa board, it will be important to set up the other boards, maybe for shea board, so that we see government also buying the entire shea, so that our market don't carry them the way they are carrying them. I think that is an important area. You see, as a farmer, I know very well that particularly in our side of the world, anytime the farmers are privileged to get good rain, when I say good rain, it means in the right quantity at the right time. Okay? They get a good harvest. When they get a good harvest, they lose. Most of their wells will get perished because they are perishable. So, for instance, if you have a lot of tomatoes and you take your tomatoes to the market, today they don't buy, tomorrow you take, they don't buy, tomorrow next you take, by the fourth day, master, an appointment. You know that. And you throw them away. Have you gone or you have come? So whilst you have had increase in yield, you would have seen that you would have suffered a loss because there's no market for it. So we need to find storage to ensure that, look, the farmers' products can be stored all year round so that they don't suffer these kind of losses. And so when they are assured of prices, they can do. So you see that this year a farmer increases his farm size to maybe 10 acres. Then when they get a good harvest, they realize that no, they sold very low. So next time they will decide to reduce the number of acres. So they reduce to 8 acres. They don't get a good harvest. Then they realize that the price of Jenny is on the high side. So as they have sold groundnuts and they realize that no, next year let me increase the acreage. I increase to 15. Then as we get more harvest, then I realize that the prices are falling. These undulating prices or the vacillating price system, particularly for our farmers, is something that we need to attend to. If we don't, I can assure you that no matter the level of investment that we put, our farmers will not be. But there is a creeping danger in recent time. The creeping danger is that all of us are now concentrating on cash crops. And when you concentrate on cash crops, what it means is that you are producing largely for export, but not to contain the domestic, food needs. So you can have a situation where there's so much production, but that production is not consumed locally. And at the end of the day, you see that there will be starvation in the country. So we need a mix of policies to be able to do this. And when you become an MP, these are the things that you'll be championing in order that the realities confronting rural people like the Nadoli-Kaleo constituency will be brought to the fore so that we can have national debate and a solution to the issue. Finally, health. There is no life without health. And so we will see. Yesterday, as I said in Kaleo, look, the Kaleo or Nadoli-Kaleo district is huge enough to contain 2 districts of hospitals. We should fight for it. It's too huge to contain only 1 polyclinic, which is not even in full operation. We need to have 1.
It's been downgraded.
Yeah. So we need to put in a lot of emphasis to be able to ensure that, look, facilities that we deserve, we'll champion them. Advocacy will be on the high, and you can trust that I'll push to the limits to ensure that the people get what they deserve.
Let me take this message. This from Hafiz Timbile. He says, good morning also. Tell Honorable Bernard that I take serious exception to he calling Shatawale's song noise. He should come again. By the way, I'm enjoying the conversation. Mornah is such a great orator, and his ideas and policies.
I think that's some noise. I've said that I enjoy I enjoy his. But if you look at in terms of message and content, you can't compare Shatawale to Bob Marley, whose message is philosophical. You can't compare him to Tekinja of Mali. You can't compare him. You know, he has his style. The message may not be as deep as we want. And why? He doesn't dance Saitawale more than me. Maybe he has not yet met me in the club. Over the weekend, I'll invite him to join me in the club. I will still be in the Upper West region, so that I will see whether he has the same dancing skills as mine.
Before we end the show, I'll give you Kai Kai to dance. Let's see.
It has been my favorite song, though.
All right.
And so in 2020, Bernard Mornah Nadoli Kaleo constituency is coming like Kakai.
So, Bernard, now we have known Nadoli Kaleo, how the hit was on you in 2016. Now it seems those people that were your adversaries, so to speak, politically, they are now your friends, and they are now the people praising you that Bernard is the man.
Well, you notice that my style of politics is not an abrasive type. I welcome all manner of opinions. To be honest with you, Anthony Suma, the NDC parliamentary candidate, is a good brother of mine. Elvis Botta of the MPP is also a good brother of mine. And we communicate first to speak so that the world will know that I am not in any political disagreement or harsh words communications with them. What I do know is that I feel that when it comes to the Nadoli Kaleo constituency and the issues at stake, I am better positioned to deliver for the interest of the people of Nadoli. And they may have differing views, and I have no equivocations. I am happy that, see, there is something that I keep saying, that probably my entry into politics has galvanized a lot of young people and their interest into politics. Recall that at a certain point I was the youngest to be national youth organizer. And when I came to the West Central constituency to contest as MP, people said, this was in 2004, so today, nearly 15 years down the line, I've been in this struggle. And so at that point, you can just imagine how youthful I was. I had just come out of the university. And many people said, Yenika Bibile Ngayi, only to realize that it was a Bibile with content. You understand? The ideas that I propounded, the theories and solutions to the problems, it earned me the kind of reputation that probably was beyond my age. And so, moving forward, you will notice that a lot of young people's interest has been excited into doing politics. And I have said this, and I'm happy that it's beginning to show evidence that, look, the game of politics is an immaculate one. It is one that delivers the kind of education we want. It is one that delivers the kind of food we will eat. It is the one that will determine whether we can get jobs or not, and whether those jobs will be transient, as in the case of NAPCO, or they will be long-lasting, so that you can be assured of a certain future. It is that politics which will determine the kind of health system and health regime we have. And it is that politics that will determine the kind of taxation we have, whether when we are talking we will pay taxes or not. So politics, therefore, is about how the spoils of our nation can be distributed equitably to everyone. So how can anybody call that dirty? Because this is something that determines your life. It shapes you. Whether you can get school to go, whether you can get good health care, whether you can get agricultural policies, whether your spouse will do it. Everything is there. And these are the things that we desire, we yearn for. So something that every one of us is desperate to have cannot be bad. So it is good. But of course there are dirty people in politics. And you see, this your white beautiful WFM t-shirt. If I throw something black on it, you will see that it will become noisy, and I use noise advisedly, that it will become very disturbing. It will not look nice as it is. But that will not be the bigger picture. The bigger picture is that it is a white shirt, but something has stained it. And therefore, people look at politics and politicians as dirty people. what I have advised is that look, politics is a good game. And if you want, you do politics. If you want, you don't do politics. But whether you do politics or not, politics will do you. So those people who are so intelligent and could contribute to the shaping of policies, who have decided that they go and sit quietly and mind their business, their taxes are going up, electricity cost is going up, everything is becoming impossible for their businesses to grow. And indeed, some of them are running out of business. So are you any longer quiet? Because as you have refused to do politics, there you are being done by the politics. So that at the end of the day, your businesses collapse, your education is on the hold, your health is collapsing. Recently, President Nana Akufo-Addo was in town. President Nana Akufo-Addo was in town to commission the B-ZAR Regional Hospital.
Yeah.
And so when my brother was sick, I asked them specifically to take him to the regional hospital, because I know that there are supposed to be modern equipment there, only to be told that it's not yet in operation. And I said, no, the president has commissioned it. And what I know about commissioning of projects is that you test every equipment, try the professionals to know that they are proficient enough to handle the equipment. And when that is done, after a certain period of operation, you now go and commission it for the well to know that this thing has been in operation. You don't go and commission a project and now tell us that you are now training people on how to handle the equipment. So I say that probably my coming into politics has attracted a lot of young people, and I'm grateful that 2020, the Nadoli Kaleo constituency is going to have maybe a contestation of young ideas, and in the hope, I know that God willing, 60% here, than a Bikumo, 40% na karena more apu.
Bernard, ina yele dagari gila within 3 minutes to check our bahita, because belani yela dagari pa hanamba ki goranka na dul kaliu dimu dagari mga. So mba Bernard, boyla inta ki yelku na dul kaliu dimu.
Oh, yelku kaka na manen wasara. Yala na manwono da men nanda tipekaliu daratin da tarikuri manda ta kuri sankanam kanoba wa mo puhu ma kuri cheba mo kaba baha apuhu ban yala ka cheba mi de mechalamam ayala anana tenna tuam asunta ka indi na dole kalio constituency 2020 awasun katirina ko malo ku ga no mitora apo mbuan kampo ba barka anen anatiaron sunga bande charan manga chayel kubaka manyan sportsman lama sportsman men iman re training bi udia ka competition wataki na ngoti defense hedaba wala chelo pile atunatuma adun mbaya mpe dine ban yela yel sunga kuma mbaya nte jannan ne ba na tunya tuma na weba diri na gaya ba were na gaya ba tuntunziri za ka ne ba tinyata ka wana ne bantar ka ba kuma tiyarun sun ne bantar ka ba kuma yala na mine bantiya ka na tuam en kare za pile atiyarata na zaman da yakuye en leone ka na amur sagaya manya ka din azum pili tia he yala na ten na oke anian MP anana na tuam ason ka yidumal ana tia ho mambe so kare da tiyar son ka tiyiri ne ko mala chaka wala aten na da na moran kaka ntaja kan ne ba ayelela alka ko sai laman na man waka ba malaka te o chakar da o cha yelela akuta me be kan himne ko sai ya lom da alumbe ne kinanga bobo ko sai san ko sai abayita so na manga lombul ga kan ne ba atilan yela cha yalba ha man yela